Thought I'd make a little video on how to pull this piece out if anybody's wondering. Maybe something to be careful about too. So I'm just trying to get this motor off of the V2 because it's got a top excavator on there, and put it onto my V4 right there with the broken one. So basically this pin here, you got to tap it out a little bit there. This was actually already kind of half out already, so I was able to just take some channel locks and just put them around the end of that there, and just pull it out. When you go to actually take the wheel and stuff out, it'll all slide out, but just be really careful. You don't have this thing aiming at your face. It just flew out. And if you had that line out, there's a chance that spring's got some pretty good strength on it. You could blast yourself in the face with that. I'd watch out for that. But yeah, so there's one part of it right there. I'm gonna get this whole bottom piece all taken off. It looks like I have to take both tracks off to do that, and then I can take that bottom plate off, and then hopefully should be able to pull that motor out and put it into the V4 that has broken already. Ooh, bad. Anyways, okay, this is the next step. Looks like I just took all the screws out of here. Looks like these rollers are all pinched on each side, so they're all gonna have to come out before I can take this bottom piece off. Okay, I got all the rollers out. Just to maybe a heads up as a help. When you're taking stuff like that apart, just put it all back together and keep it together. It'll be a lot easier down the road. I got some screws and stuff in a jar there too for all the ones on here to hold this piece. So that the rollers are all out. These pieces are out. Yeah, looks like this is that metal? Yeah, I guess it's metal. It's gonna look almost plasticky, but I guess it's metal. This is the inside of it. It's the first time I've ever actually seen inside one. So I'm going to pull whichever motor it was, one of them two, I can't remember right now, out of here and put it into my V4 and see if I can get that all working and going together again. I think it's better to maybe just try and pull straight from the motor than it is to try and take anything from electronics. I just found that if you're mixing the components together, I don't know what's compatible when you're ordering stuff online for Huina products. Half the time I don't even know, and I'm by gosh and by golly and hoping that I'm getting the right part for what I need, because sometimes the descriptions are somewhat lacking. But anyways, I'll shut the camera off in a minute after I get this part done, and then I just might do a bit of a series on this, and once I get it going again, I'll give it a shot and see how it all works out. And if that's going good, I actually might decide to maybe do a build video on rewiring the whole entire thing, so you can get thicker wire and stuff like that in there. These actually doesn't seem to be too bad, but the stuff inside the mall is really thin. So yeah, let's see what happens in the next part. Here's a quick video just before I stop to pull this piece out. There's the motor right there. I cleaned it all up. It's covered in oil and sorts of sloppy mess. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3 screws holding this assembly in. So I'm going to take these out, and then I'm going to disassemble the other one and then put the motor back into it and hook it up. I just decided to cut it right here. There's a whole bunch of stuff on this. I'm not sure if that's like ground or I don't really know what it is, but I'm just going to cut the other motors and then solder it all together on here and then heat shrink it. Okay, there we have one removed track motor assembly. That's where it came out of. So yeah, I'm going to put this thing off to the side now and use it as another spare part in the future if I have to, because I think I'm probably be able to just spin these over. I'm gonna have to rewire it actually if I did that, because it might be running backwards, but either way, whatever, I can figure that out. So yeah, that's how you take that part out, and next will be removing the new one and putting this piece into the V4 to fix the crappy metal that broke in there on that sprocket. So I'd take a second to show the piece that broke. This is out of the V4. So you can see right there, that's the metal piece there. It's a hex shape with a thread in this side here, and that sits inside this sprocket right in there, and it just snapped right off. I don't know how it did, but it broke. So this is the piece that the engineer had said to the spokeswoman I talked to for Huina that I had added extra weight to and caused it to break, which is laughable. That broke because of poor product quality, I think. Just in the process of putting this back on, so when I turn this excavator over, I can pull the bottom off without having things getting damaged possibly. But just as I was doing that, spinning around to put the screws all back in, I thought I'd just show this here. See, I never even talked to Huina or the woman at Huina about how sticky this thing was. But that's one thing that's really been bad with the tracks, and I only have one going right now. That's the one that was broken there. Really sticky. Really sticky. And that's something I've heard from a few people, that this thing just really jitty. It wants to torque itself around, doesn't move nice and smooth. So once I get this done, hopefully it's sorted out. The issue obviously not of it not working because this is broken off, but I'm going to keep this thing going for as long as I can until something fails on it. As soon as something fails on it, at that point, that's when I'm going to dive into this thing and start actually redoing it from the motors all the way through the cab, all the boom motors, everything. I made a video, I think it's called RC Stuff and Things, and on the click video of it is just the soil compactor drum. But if you watch that video, I actually show after the fact a full limit switch circuit setup on how to do limit switches for motors, so you don't damage any of the components. Obviously motors will just keep going until you stop them, and it's very difficult to try and stop motors when you have multi-functions like an excavator. So that'll be something that I plan on doing way later on. Hopefully this thing kind of hangs in there, but it would be good if it does fail in a way, because then I can really dive into this thing and redo it. Then I'll finally be able to get a real controller and receiver into it as well, and ditch all these components that they're putting into them. So but I thought I'd show just kind of getting stuck there, because the buttons either haven't been trimmed out enough to allow the buttons to release off once been applied, and they also get really sticky. So I think it might be a tightness thing on the cutouts of the controller. But so far for the V4 as a new and improved model, it's really not winning any votes as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I'll just cut the camera now, and then next thing will be showing starting to take this thing apart, or I might just do that off camera and show it all opened up, because it's a long time to take all those parts out. Okay. See if we can get a good shot of that. Okay, so just kind of did a time lapse for that one, because I've never done it before, and I thought it'd kind of be cool to see. And yeah, I'm just going to pull this piece off now. This will be the first time I can open this up and see what's going on in here. So yeah, everything looks like it's all where it's supposed to be. It's a bunch of dirt. I noticed the same thing as well. Some dirt got into here, and I see that there. There's a pocket of dirt right there, and another pocket of dirt in there as well. So I don't know if that had anything to do with, well, probably not, but either way. Just get that dirt back on the play area. And one thing I noticed too is these are super oily. Lots of stuff gets stuck to them, so it was nice to give them a little bit of a cleaning while you still can. But now that I got this thing all opened up, I'm just going to do the same thing I did on the other one, and I'm just going to cut these wires here and here, and then I'll solder them back onto the new motor. The actual motor and stuff itself is fine. I don't know if I ever decide to maybe want to take this thing apart and see if there's something that, you know, I don't know, maybe I can use this again somewhere. I'm not too sure. I was thinking about using some parts from Huina to make my track loader again, but like I said before, this whole thing definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. Using them, I don't really want to use them for anything at all anymore. So what I might end up doing for that is going the same thing I did with that loader I just finished, the 906 loader, where I got some of that T8 thread and some 3D printed cylinders. And I might try some geared motors, see how that works instead, because I really don't feel like supporting these guys anymore. And even though I'm still kind of talking to them about trying to get maybe some spare parts, they said to me, oh, I should buy them. And I thought, like, just no way. I really don't want to have anything to do with them, and I honestly don't even care if I get parts or not from them. I'm pretty much done with them. Thankfully, I had another one that I could pull from to get this thing going again, but I'm not trying to make them look good. I'm not out to get them either, but you know, just I see no point to try and even stay in contact with them. Honestly, I really don't care. So yeah, I just want to give an honest opinion of what I feel about them so far, and you know, like everything, you know, there's always room for improvement, but you know, they are expensive, and you kind of think that they should last a little bit longer than 6 months. I mean, geez, even some of the builds that I've done so far in the year I've been into this hobby, I've learned a fair bit of stuff myself, and I've had some stuff that's lasted a lot longer than 6 months already, like my little Delta skid steer. That thing's been powering on awesome for a while. So yeah, anyways, enough of that. I'm just gonna shut the video off again when I get this motor assembly pulled out, and then I'll strip the wires down, and I might just do a video of me soldering the connections up again and putting it in and seeing how it all goes. So there we go. Oh, one thing I noticed about it already is different is, and I don't know if it's going to be a big deal or not, but this is the one I pulled out of the V2, and it's got all these things on here. I don't know if these are grounds or something like that. I'm not too sure. If someone would let me know, I'd like to know, because I don't know. Yeah, that'd be really helpful to explain to me what it is. And I don't know if it makes a difference or not in, you know, this motor not having them on there and this one does. I guess I'll find out when I solder it all together. Fingers crossed that it's not going to be an issue. I don't think it is already, because before I even pulled this apart upstairs in the house there, I just switched the controls over from my other one onto this base to run it, and it was running. So it should be okay. Fingers crossed it will be okay, and I'd like to just put this in here and get this thing back up and running again. So yeah, there we go. So I was just looking at this again, and yeah, there's some differences here actually, enough to make me think that maybe what I might be better off to do is to actually take this assembly off of this and put this onto the motor. The V2 has all these connections on it, and just like for the motor. And then if you look at this one here, it's got like a circuit board on the back of the motor there. I don't really want to mess around with that. I'd rather just leave that all as is, and leave that motor on and switch out this assembly for it instead, because this shouldn't have any effect on the motor. It should be fine. So I think I'm going to do that instead. The motor's fine anyways, working. It's not the motor, it's the piece inside of this that's broken. So I think I might be better off to do that. The last time I switched something out on the V2 for a Huina piece was the circuit board, and it didn't work out. It ended up with the same problem I had when the thing was broke. So I'm really hesitant to start switching out maybe a full assembly like that. You might want to take into consideration, if you have a spare part, to really have a good look at it before you do that, just because it might give you a whole bunch of problems. I don't know, I don't want to particularly feel like I end up burning out the circuit board on my newer one and have a whole other problem, because then I definitely will be doing a full rebuild video on this thing sooner than I planned. But haven't done that yet, so always a good idea just to keep in mind to have a little look around at what you're working with before you start pulling things apart. Little screw stuck to there, and yeah, you know, like I said, for the record, I'm not a wizard here by any means. I just kind of want to make a video to show that somebody like myself who's got basic limited knowledge of these things hopefully can help other people that have the same amount of knowledge I do to fix these things and not sort of feel menaced by them, or ordering tons of parts online that might get you nowhere and save you a few bucks. So yeah, I'll pull this thing apart here and maybe put this guy onto that one there. Well, here's a video worth 1,000 words right there. If you just do what I just did now, I was trying to get this motor off here, and so I did the screws, pulled this housing apart. Thankfully it's all in a line, so it shouldn't have any issues putting it back, but that is the way that the gears are set up in this thing. 2 pins come from the top, so they use some sort of sticky adhesive tape, I think, to help lock that motor on. So I'm gonna have to pull that off and then get the motor attached. Actually, I think it's gonna be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound. Come this far. So yeah, just something to remember. That's how it is laid out inside the gearbox there for that motor. Okay, so I just said that I thought this motor was held on in place by some sort of like stick adhesive tape. I need to correct myself on that. Just so we're aware that I was incorrect on that. There's actually these 2 screws right here that are holding that motor in place. So these 2 need to come out. So you do need to open up the full assembly to pull that motor out with those 2 screws and put the other one on. So when you're doing it, just do it very slowly and very carefully. Maybe most of the gears are all sort of that sprocket side down, so if you're pulling it apart, just slowly, because if you toss up those gears and you don't know which way they go, well, they go that way anyways. I got a shaky hand anyway, sorry for that. That's the way they go again, but yeah, that's the screws right there that hold that motor in place, and they need to come out so I can pull this motor off. Okay, here we go. That's the main gear. That's what it looks like on the other side. That's the piece that broke off. And that has the hex shaft coming off of it with the threaded screw to go and lock the sprocket onto the main piece. So I kind of looked at it. There's a couple of things I could do, really. I could just swap out this broken gear with that one and probably put the whole thing back on. But since I've come this far and I've got everything all opened up, I'm just going to keep all this together with the broken pile, which is over here. So that's going to go in there like so. Again, there's a shot of the whole entire thing opened up. That's the gearbox for the left side. There's an L on the, yeah, I can't see if you can see right there. Right there. There's an L right there. L for left. We are for right on the other side. So I'm just going to keep all that together. That is the broken V4 piece. And I'm going to put it together again, and I'm going to wrap some green tape around it and just say what it is. I can't tell you now how many times I've said, oh, I'll write it down later. And then all of a sudden I look at my bench and I'm like, where the hell did all that come from? So, yeah, it's good to kind of take notes of things as you're going along so you don't end up with wondering where some parts came from or whether there's maybe leftover screws, because I've got a pile of screws over here which are going to be from the motor assembly and they're not going to get used again, and I have a big tub of stuff going on over there, and that's my V2 Huina pile down there. So yeah, we're getting there. I'm going to put this all back together here shortly, and I should have a working Huina again, a Frankenstein Huina model that apparently, as far as the engineers of Huina are concerned, I weighted down and broke the pot metal that they built it with. So, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. because I didn't. And I think you know, that's the one thing about it, is when you do stuff like that, when you're painting a model up, you know, it is a perfect chance for them to use that as an excuse to scapegoat out of claiming responsibility for poor quality of workmanship or parts that they're using to crank these things out. But you know, I thought I would have a cool looking excavator, and I think it is a cool looking excavator. My L is a little bit off, but hey, whatever. Like I said, at this point now, I don't really care anymore if I get anything out of them or not. If I get my money back, I don't think I'm getting my money back. Hopefully I get some spare parts sent from them. I asked for 2. I wanted the left and the right, because if the other one goes, I want to be able to fix it. And I have another part I can take from that one, but that's not really the point. You know, it should be fixed. Paint doesn't break metal at all. So again, ridiculous. But yeah, hopefully have a bit of an informative video for some people to check out if you have the problem. You know, this is maybe an option for you to fix your model if it breaks, or when it does break. Seems to be so far they don't last very long before they do kaput ski it in. So yeah, there you go. Next clip will be maybe a sped up putting it back together or something. I don't know, we'll see. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. So thanks for checking it out, and stay tuned. I probably have a little bit more still to go. Okay, this is my completed assembly now of putting this gearbox onto this motor. So this is the V4 motor, because it has the circuit boards on the back, and I just chose to basically take this gearbox off of the V2 model that I had and put it back onto this motor instead. I just wrote down on there, I'm a big fan of lots of pictures and writing things on stuff before I touch anything, so I make sure it goes back in the right way. I noticed this one here is the newer one, so it's pretty tight until it breaks, and hope not. But and then this one here has got a bit of play in it, so we'll see. I don't know if that's just slopping the gear or what, but we'll find out. If not, at least I know I've got another armature, or sorry, another gearbox, whatever housing I can take from and put stuff in, blah 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 blah. So we'll see how it all goes, but so far it's going well. So yeah, thanks. Just stopped for a little lunch, but I've been thinking about this, and it'd be the perfect time to throw this out there. How friggin' cool would it be if somebody could come up with this thing being with tires on it? Like, it would be sweet. You could have just, you know, hook up the tires to the back. The hex, I think, are the same as leaving like the W-pill wheels. I know it would sink it. It's super heavy, but you could make like a steering servo for the front or something and have it turn around. And I don't know what you do for like the stabilizers. You maybe somehow add them on. But wouldn't this thing just be cool if it was a tired excavator? That'd be so awesome. Someone's got to do that. Just throwing it out there. Challenge. Somebody make it. I might buy it off you. So I just figured I should test everything first before I start firing all this stuff back up again. And I almost had a little mini jammer there for a second, because I put the piece all back together and I went to engage the transmitter to make the track move forward, and all of a sudden it wouldn't go. And I thought, well, what the hell is going on with this thing now? As soon as you touch it, it just you put bad luck on it or something. I don't know. But anyways, I was kind of looking at some things, and I thought, oh, maybe this connector here wasn't fully engaged all the way. So I pulled the body back off of it, and I don't know if I had maybe a shot of it before I did anything to it, but all of a sudden I looked down and I found that this black wire right here, the negative on one of the motors, was just sitting there half hang out. Wasn't even engaged in there fully. So not only am I just kind of trying to show people, you know, what's going on with this thing, but almost kind of in a way kind of documenting a little bit to show people, you know, hey, just have a look over everything before you turn stuff on. Because I don't know if that was touching something, maybe it could have shorted out, and then I would have had maybe another problem. I don't know. But anyways, just things to think about. to look around and make sure that everything's all engaged, because this thing has quality control stamps all over it. But you know, I think as probably fair enough, maybe most quality control, it's not like every single model gets, you know, or whatever is getting looked at gets tested. But you know, that was one thing that was just kind of hanging out there. So yeah, just another thing to sort of keep an eye out on, make sure all the wires are actually fully engaged into where they're supposed to be. And I gave a little play there, and see if that's the side that was buggered. Here's the other side now. So everything's all moving again, which is fantastic, which means this model is back up and running. I haven't tested the other functions yet, so I should probably do that before I get, yeah, there we go. It's all moving. Bucket's curling. Well, that's good. Turning. And boom in, boom over, curl back, and then, yeah, boom back in and stuff. So that's good. So everything on this appears to be working, because the last time I fixed one thing on this thing, or tried to fix one thing on it, it just led to more problems down the road. So far so good. Everything's looking good. I'm glad, because I thought, oh man, I've done a lot of filming today. To post that online with no happy ending would be not so good. So yeah, there we go. Come along nicely. More to come. Okay, this will be the last video of me blabbing on here. This is pretty much everything put back together now inside here. I've tested everything. Everything's all working out really well. So I thought I'd just do one final shot before I cinch everything back up, put that cover plate back on. But yeah, that's how you fix one of these things if you have the same problem with them breaking. It seems to be that these gearboxes, I think, are universal. It's at least between the V2 and the V4. When it comes to the actual motors and stuff like that, I noticed on a lot of their upgraded parts, they put little circuit boards on them. Even the motor that drives the main boom, that has a little circuit board on the upgraded version, whereas the V2 didn't have one at all. So, you know, when it comes to getting parts to replace things that are broken, you know, I don't know what to tell you about making sure that you actually get the right part for the right model, right? I don't know if the circuit board on the newer motors does something to the old circuit board itself on them. So if you can figure out what you're needing before you buy it, I definitely advise that. And if not, and you have a Huina that goes for a big dump on you, you know, there's info out there on how to rebuild them, doing your own wiring to make them a lot better. Truth be told, I kind of hear a lot of people say that the one model that's done really, really well is just the 550, the plastic one, but it's been stripped down and redone with upgraded motors. So again, you need to understand some basic electronics. I've been tinkering around now for about a year of pretty solid, actively researching and learning about this kind of stuff to get to where I am now. And I was by no way competent enough at all to even touch one of these things last year. I kept my fingers crossed it would never break, and thought if it did, I was screwed. But that's the thing about some of these models. When they break, that's the reason you take it to learn. It's the same thing with that Brooder skid steer I had by Magum. You know, I bought that thing as well. Huina's 580 has given me grief, a lot of it, and it's been a bought purchase. And Magum skid steer, that thing was horrible. One of the worst things I've ever seen. And honestly, like, fixing that as well, because it was a lemon, because I bought two things right there. Magum skid steer and the Huina excavator. Those are two things right there that have been junk things that I've purchased and spent a lot of money to fix and to get over here as well. So sometimes learning, it takes a bit, you know, to figure it all out. But you know, the reward of being able to fix this thing, like I'm fixing this thing, and I'm going to have it up and running again in no time, and I'm really excited about that. You know, there's so much we could be doing with our time as opposed to watching, you know, videos of people kicking each other in the balls all day long, which is kind of funny still, yeah. But I mean, there's just other things we could be doing with our time, learning stuff, than just sort of, you know, watching other people do stuff and that's their entertainment. Like, you know, using your brain is awesome and it's really rewarding. And I mean, I get stuck out here a lot, and I choose to be out here, and I like it. I enjoy it, and I get a lot of reward out of learning and fixing things. So, you know, focus on something that's going to make your mind grow and that you're going to learn. So when you have problems like this, you don't have to sit there and argue over the computer with someone from China that you have no idea who you're talking to, even if they even work for Huina. I don't even know. And you can turn around and say, well, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to fix it myself, or, you know, whatever. Just, it's so much nicer when you can just do things on your own. So thanks for checking it out. Maybe I'll just show a quick little video of it being put together. Maybe I'll try one of those time-lapse things again, see how that goes, because that was kind of fun to play around with. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope this helps whoever's out there who needs the help. Bye. Alright, there's all those done. All running smooth. So, a little bit of play in that one I fixed. Bit of play in that one, not as much though. So yeah, next thing I'll do is put these pieces back on. And then I'll show a video of it. Doing some digging and moving around. Okay, thanks. Okay, back together. Well, here it is moving around. All functioning again. Turning sideways. A little sluggish on the turn. Going forwards, backwards, turning, turning. This puppy is ready to rock again. One thing I just thought. Now, due to my experience, I just have putting these tracks back on. Man, oh man, was that ever a fight. I had to jam up the tracks against the corner post in here, basically, to be able to overcome the force I had to use to put this pin back through the wheel. That led me to have a pretty kind of a cool little thought, actually. The Huina engineer said to me, or the spokeswoman said to me from the engineer, that I had added weight into this thing to cause that piece to break. And again, that little piece I'm talking about is this little guy right here. This goes into the sprocket. That's the screw that the sprocket goes through, and broke right there. Well, you know what I think? And I don't know, but I think, and it kind of makes sense to me, I think that that piece that broke is almost kind of right in line with that spring. And in my opinion, I almost think that this spring has so much tension pushing on it out this way that with the combination of just their Chinese metal here, this garbage stuff, I think that that spring pushes so much tension out on here that that little 90-degree piece with all that other tension around it is putting a lot of strain on this part right here. And I think it wouldn't take much after that, even say clean topsoil like this, to turn it, have it overcome just that little extra bit of force, causing it to snap. Now, I might be totally wrong on that, but I didn't add any weight to that thing, so I'm going to rule that theory out right now. And to me, I think that because the amount of force that's on there, like, it's a ton of force. Like, it took a long time for me to get that track, both those tracks back on there, get that pin through. It was pretty substantial spring they've got in there. So I would kind of be almost wanting to put a little bit of money on it to say that that spring is so tight that it caused, with that just a little extra bit of dirt around it when I turned, it caused that thing to pop right off and snap. And that's why I think how this thing broke. That's my opinion on it. Anyways, there's the Huina. She's back up and running. I'm glad I have an excavator going again. It's awesome. And yeah, next thing will be full rewiring the whole thing when the time comes. Not in a rush to do that right now. I just want to work on my track loader now, get that thing all up and running and redone so I get that boom moving up nice and high. But yeah, glad I had the time to do this today. I'm going to put this whole entire video together and put it online. And yeah, see how it goes. And you know, hopefully companies like Huina kind of want to take a little bit of feedback and maybe listen to what the customers have to say, because you know, you're applying to a world market, and I'm out here in the world, and I like RC construction, and I like to build my own stuff, and I like this particular excavator, to be honest with you. But I don't like is having people accuse me of modifying things which I haven't, and you know, I think it should last a little bit longer than it has. So happy ending to the story, but yeah, you know what? Share it. I never ask anybody to share any of my videos. I just solely put them out there for the enjoyment of, you know, seeing something cool through a forested scene. You know, like when I was a kid and going through the museum out in Souk, I just love seeing those logging trucks going down those gravel roads. But share it, and I think people, the more people are aware of these little issues and stuff like that that come up, maybe it might force Huina to take a little bit of notice to mitigate some of their problems and maybe try and make them a little bit better. So yeah, give it a old thumbs up there on the YouTube, and if it's anything to ever get known for, not ripping on companies isn't what I want, but you know, maybe making something better for everybody to enjoy a little bit longer is the right thing to do, I think. So yeah, thanks for checking it out, and hopefully everyone's Huinas last a long time. Thanks.